Hi guys, it's Ann Yorks and I am trying out a new format for our video tutorial, so you'll have to let me know what you think. But we're going to hopefully provide a little bit more information. You'll see me a little bit more, and we're going to include a voiceover on our tutorials so that you can hear an explanation of what's going on. So I hope you find that helpful. Today I'm doing a really fun project. I actually was cleaning out a storage closet last week and came across a box of love notes that I wrote my husband Topher, and they are just so sweet, and it was just such a blast from the past. I unfortunately don't take enough time to write love notes these days. Life is a little busy with kids, but I am writing love notes in cookies. So join me today as I make a happy love note Valentine cookie set. It's going to be lots of fun. Now, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a happy envelope, a really cute mailbox, and we're going to get creative with our cookie cutter on that one. And then I'm also going to show you how to layer 2 stencils for our Be My Valentine love note. So let's take a look at what we're going to do. I'm going to put links down below so I can help you with how many cookies you'll be able to make using a single batch of dough. I'll also give some tips on planning for icing colors and how much of each icing color to make. You might notice I'm only using 5 icing colors in this project. That's because in 2019 I'm resolving to simplify my cookie projects, including the number of icing colors I use. Plus, if you want to recreate this project, I've also digitized my sketches, and they are also found in the blog post so that you can use the sketch yourself. Just download the zip file that has the JPEGs in it, and you'll be able to use it either with your projector, or you can even print and cut out the template and trace some guidelines on your cookie. So either way works depending on what your style is to do. All right. Enough chit chat, let's get started on this fun project. First, you'll notice that I traced some yellow guidelines onto my cookie, and I used a yellow food marker, so it's just food coloring that's on there, but it's gonna help guide my design as I start piping. So I'll start with my envelope outline first, and typically for all of my outlines, I'll use tip number 2. And once I get all of those sections outlined, I'm ready to flood. It doesn't really matter if that had a chance to dry or not. So now I'm gonna flood in from background to foreground. So the inside of that envelope, which is the pink area, is the first area that I'm gonna flood. I'll let that area dry just for about an hour in front of the fan before I'll flood in the white envelope. Now you'll notice when I'm flooding, I'm pretty generous with my icing. I like a nice full cookie, so I don't leave a lot of cookie showing. Also, more often these days, I like to flood in using tipless bags. It's just easy cleanup and makes for a much faster process of decorating. Once I'm ready for the details, the first thing I'm gonna add is this cute little heart. Again, I'm using tip number 2, and I'm just overlapping those 2 little teardrops. The tails of those teardrops make the heart shape. And then I'm gonna add the note, which I'm not writing actual words, just wiggly lines using a black food marker. Then to really make this design pop, I find it's helpful to pipe a couple of highlight lines. So you'll see I pipe out the envelope and the note and the top of the envelope. Now it's time to add the face. I'm using a flood consistency of icing on those eyes just because it makes them nice and round and smooth, and a wet on wet dot with the white really adds that cute little catch light and brings those eyes to life. Then I'll brush a little carnation pink onto the cheeks, add a smile, and our happy love note is done. Let's take a look at the cute mailbox. Now, if this cookie cutter looks familiar, it's because it's actually the camera cookie cutter. And you'll see that I have trimmed off one of the little nubs on the right side where maybe a camera button might have been, but for the mailbox, we didn't need that. So I actually trimmed that before I baked the cookie. Again, the template, I used a yellow marker for the outline, so that helped me pipe the flag area, and then I'm ready to just pipe and flood in the blue section of the mailbox. I like to do the blue before the pink because the blue is in the background and the flag is in the foreground, so that way I really find it just helps pop that out a little bit easier. Then once those areas are dry, I'm ready for the details. So I'm gonna outline the door on the mailbox and the flag on the mailbox. And I want a really puffy heart. So you'll notice I outline the heart. I'm using a tip number 1.5 on that, and I'll actually flood that in with flood icing. That gives me a nice big puffy heart once it's all dry. Same thing with the eyes. I'm using flood icing just to get it nice and round and smooth. If you use piping icing for that, it would just be a little bit bumpy. So let's use that black icing, and then we'll go back in with white flood icing, tip number 1, to add the little catch light. Now it's time to blush our mailbox cheeks, and the pink will show up on the blue. So I'm just using it the same way I did on the white, and add a couple of brush strokes using a circular motion to get a nice even application. And then I have a tip number 1.5 on my black piping icing, and I add the smile, and then I'm ready for the final detail using a tip number 44, that nice wide flat tip, to pipe the little catch on the mailbox door. And that's it. Super cute and not too much work. So now let's tackle my favorite cookie out of the 3, which is the Be My Valentine love note. I don't want blue stripes on the top of the cookie. I want it to look like a notebook paper. So I'm actually going to use a stencil blocker to mask off a little bit of area on the top of the cookie there so that the blue lines don't get airbrushed at the very top. Now to get this nice light blue pastel color, I start with white airbrush color and just mix it with a dot of blue airbrush color, and that'll give you that nice pastel. You always want to start with white because if you start with blue, it'll take a lot of white to get to that pale color. So start with white first when you're doing that. And once you're all done, you're ready to rock that stencil genie to the side, and we're going to stencil the lettering. So I have my Be My Valentine stencil, and I'm just going to off-center it because I want to add a pink stripe down the left side for the notebook paper. I have my stencil loaded up with stiff pink icing, and I'm ready to swipe it across the stencil. So I find usually 2 or 3 passes of icing to get the icing on the stencil, and then I'll remove any excess if necessary. When I'm peeling back the stencil, I just take my time. It's almost like peeling off a sticker, and pull that stencil back. And now for the easy part, it's ready to just add that pink line. I'm gonna use my scraper and a pink pen, and I'm just gonna hold that in place and bring that line down. And now we have our notebook paper. I love that so much better than piping all those letters by hand. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Happy Love Note cookie set. If you recreate them, definitely tag me on social media. I'd love to see your take on these. You can also use the hashtag HappyLoveNote, and I'll find you that way too. Plus, if you're looking for some packaging suggestions, check out my blog post. I show you how to use a 9-inch box and a 14-inch box to present these cookies to your customers or to your loved ones. That's all for today. I look forward to the next time. Until then, happy decorating!